All right, we're gonna be watching Ms. Stony Bear, Silver 4, Moira, and this is on console. I've been stuck in Silver. I only played Overwatch for 200 hours and 20 hours in Ranked, so I'd really like some feedback. I know I made a lot of errors and could have saved my team a couple times this game, so I'd like some insight. I think the game was very winnable. Maybe if I'd done some things better, let me know. All right. So, for starters, the game's about to start, right? So we got 2 seconds till the start of the game. So what are you thinking in terms of being over here? Like right now you're on the point, you see your team's over here. Why are you in the back right now?
I think at that point my controller had fell, so it wasn't on purpose.
Okay. All right. So that's good to know. So for starters, do you know generally where you should be standing?
Generally, well, if I had gone how I planned, I would have been over by the tank.
Yes. So one thing I want to maybe draw for you that I think might be helpful is to think about kind of the default alignment of tanks, or rather of teams. So we're going to use blue team for your team, and then purple, pink, I'm bad of colors, for the other team. So if we imagine generally what things look like is you have a tank here, okay? And then you have the rest of your team, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 are somewhere behind the tank. And then you are going to end up being, one of those people. Conversely, the other team is going to look like the reverse of that, right? So you're going to have, the opposing tank, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's really important here is there's this line right here. This is kind of like the no man's land where you should basically never be standing, okay? Like this space over here, you should virtually never be standing there if you are not a tank. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's called frontlining, right? That's where you end up being the leading element. There are rare exceptions, but I think as a general rule, you just think, hey, if my tank is not in front of me, I shouldn't be going. It gets more complicated when your tank is not a brawl or poke tank. If your tank is a dive tank, things get trickier. But at least for this game, right, at your level, I think it's fine to just say, like, this is kind of the default situation. If your tank is missing for some reason, right, if your tank is like, over... dead for sure, but like let's say your tank is like over here because like they're a dive tank, they're gonna be diving in, then you need to play far back until your tank goes in, and then you can advance. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just noting right now is like you're quite far away from your tank, but if it's not intentional, that's fine, right? Again, it's the very start of the round, so probably nothing happens. You're like emoting right now, but let's kind of see what happens over here at the start of the fight. So you see the Mog is getting burned down. He's taking damage, so he's already down to half health. You'll notice you have not gotten there yet. And he's got super, super low, and in order to stay alive right now, he's popped cardiac overdrive. Okay? So he's lost 500 health here that you could have healed if you'd been playing further forward. But because you were playing way back on the point, intentionally or unintentionally, he's now forced to use one of his important abilities, and that limits his ability to be effective for the rest of the fight.
Gotcha.
So it like little things, and like this is gonna become more and more relevant as you climb. Like little things like, oh, I went AFK for 5 seconds, I looked away, I checked my phone, whatever ends up happening, or like I got distracted by a thing. Those things can influence how a fight develops because now he doesn't have cardiac overdrive, so he can't stop the team from moving forwards because his cardiac overdrive is gonna end. And you see now he's got 10 seconds left on the cooldown for overdrive, and he has no ability to stop them from moving forwards when he doesn't have overdrive. And this could have been prevented if you'd been further up because you could have easily healed that damage.
Right.
All right, so we're going to walk forward. Now, we discussed earlier about frontlining, right?
Yes.
So do you see that you're frontlining right now?
Yep, I'm in front of the tank.
Right, exactly. So like this is no good. And you don't do it all the time, but you do it enough, and I think you're going to get punished for it more, because one of the things we talked about before the video started is like you get punished more, or like you find it difficult to play in higher rank games. Like it feels more hectic, and maybe probably die faster. Part of it is you need to cut down on like kind of the bad habits that you develop when you're being a little more careless that you can get away with at lower ranks. So when you step forward like that, they all are going to end up targeting you because you are the person in front, the one closest to them, and the most vulnerable. Versus if you're behind the tank here, or over here, they're not going to attack you there, right? You're too far away, and the tank is kind of in the way, and like that's just not a viable kill. But when you do this, like even for a fraction of a second, you can die right now very, very, very quickly, and you're not going to die this time, but in other situations you will be dying. Okay, next up, look at your gauge right now. So your gauge is at half. One thing to note is that Moira Orb is actually on a very, very low cooldown. Not, I wouldn't say very low. It's like on a fairly short cooldown. So you can spam it fairly often until things get committed. The phase of the fight we're in right now are, okay, let me back up. There's essentially 3 different phases to a fight. There is the poke phase. Man, it is hard to write with a mouse. The poke phase, the commit phase, and then there is the retreat / cleanup phase, right? So we'll just call this like retreat, the retreat phase. And understanding which phase of the fight we're in changes my decision making. So the poke phase means that we are safe. It is very unlikely that I or anyone else will die other than to some long-range one-shot, like a Widow headshot, Hanzo headshot. Other than that, no one's going to die. Right. The commit phase is where the teams are now clashing and someone's going to die, right? They're close enough that no one can retreat, right? Defensive cooldowns are popped, you've been dove, like whatever it is, like this is it. Like this is where the fight is won or lost right now. This is dangerous. Okay? Now the retreat phase is after the commit phase, after one side or the other has lost the fight, and basically at your point, either the losing team is either trying to get out or they're trying to suicide, right? So this is just, you just clean it up. Or if you're the one that lost, you just suicide and die and you go to the next fight. So which phase we're in, 1, 2, or 3, changes how we play. Right now, what phase of the fight are we in?
Poke.
Correct. So when we're in the poke phase right now, it's because we feel like we're safe. We're not in danger. No one's going to die here. Like your Mog's not going to die. Your soldier's not going to die. You're not going to die. Good. When you're in the poke phase, you kind of have a few different things to think about. But I think as Moira here, I think what you want to be thinking about is you want to be farming ult charge. Okay? Like I would say this is one thing to think about, and the other thing is space control. But I think that's like probably a little too advanced for you right now. But space control in the sense like I don't want to let them get closer to us, someplace I don't want them to be. So if I can prevent them from doing that, then I want to do that if at all possible. So as a quick example of space control, if I'm over here as Moira and the enemy tracer's trying to go through this alley, I might come over here and deflect the tracer. Because the tracer probably doesn't want to mess with me, especially if I have an orb, especially with my team, and you might force her to run back. That's an example of space control. But generally speaking, I'm just thinking, look, I want to keep my resources high, I want to be ready for the commit phase, and I want to try to farm ult charge. The easiest way to farm ult charge over here is to just throw a damage orb at them. Right? You chuck it over them, you probably reveal the Sombra too. You chuck it over them, right? It does up to 200 damage, you get 200 points of ult charge, great. That means you get coalescence sooner. It also means that your gauge stays higher. Because right now, quite frankly, you have nothing to do, right? Your whole team is full health, the enemy team's not doing anything, you have no space to control, you certainly can't stop the D.Va from taking the train, right? That's not going to work. So that's something I want you to be thinking about is, hey, if we're in the poke phase, I want to be throwing orb. Now, the thing is, when they commit, I need to be a lot more careful. When they are committed or going to commit, that's when I want to save the orb. But I can make an educated guess that for the next, like, 6-ish seconds, I probably don't need the orb.
Gotcha.
All right. So, from here, you're AFK for a second, which is dangerous, but you come up here. So, thinking for a second, there's, like, no real way that you can deflect them. Like, the D.Va easily beats you in a 1v1, and the D.Va has a Kiriko here, so the two of them definitely beat you. There's no real reason to be over here. Like, if there was, like, a Tracer or a Widow or something, you could stay here and deflect them. But against the D.Va, there's really not a lot you could do. I would not be here to begin with. I would probably just fade back and rejoin my team, because the D.Va is likely to pressure me out soon. Right? So, and the thing is, I want to jump back early, that way my fade goes on cooldown, that way when the fight happens over here and it's serious, I have the fade for later. Right? Versus if I wait until the D.Va commits on me right now, then I fade, maybe the Sombra catches me out. But right now, everyone's safe, so if I jump to people who are safe, I'm probably going to be able to live to my next fade. So I kind of want to do that early-ish. But you go up right now, D.Va recognizes you're there, and then you fade. So let's look at this position again. So one of the things we talked about earlier was frontlining. Do you see how you're frontlining right now?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, these are like the little things, well, I mean, it seems little, but it's actually a pretty big thing, where you're putting yourself in a vulnerable spot. Because now, you basically just faded straight into the soldier's view. Right? You see, you landed right there. You're kind of lucky that he doesn't have Helix and he doesn't have ammo. Right? But otherwise, like, you could just straight up die here. And if they have an Ashe or a Widow or Hanzo, like, you just die from fading into the middle. That's why when you're fading, you need to think, where am I fading to? Right? You're not actually in extreme danger right now. I feel like this is like a very reactive, like, oh god, I'm being shot, I want to fade. You have time. You have plenty of time. You have full health right now. D.Va doesn't do a lot of damage from this range. Like, this range, D.Va does 40 damage a second, maybe. Like, you have 5+ seconds to get out of here. So you could just calmly look around and be like, hey, look, where do I need to go? Oh, my team's over there. I could fade over there. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is your Maga's actually run over to you, which is very odd, but fine. You could just back up behind the Maga, and then you can stay and hold this position. That's probably your best option at this phase. Because in this lineup, you're running... do you understand the difference between main healer and off healer?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this lineup, because the other support is a Lucio, you're going to be running main healer. You're the primary source of healing for your team, and especially your tank. So you generally want to be following your tank around. So your tank came to you, so great. Like, you should have been with your tank to begin with, but if your tank wants to come to you, that works too. You can stay here and keep pocketing your tank.
Right.
But fading out here is rough, because 1, you're vulnerable, and number 2, you've left your tanks, and now your tank is forced to fight 3 people by himself. If you're up here, he's got no problem, right? He's definitely gonna be able to hold this at a minimum, but now you need to run back to him, right? But he gets concerned now, because he's like, look, I'm not getting healing. He pops Cardiac Overdrive, but he can't even use all of it, because he gets nervous as to why he's not being healed. See, he's up here, he's like, oh shoot, he pops Overdrive, he's fighting, oh, he gets bumped out by Lucio, but he drops right now, because he probably feels that he doesn't get healed. Do you have any tank hours by chance?
A little bit.
Yeah. So one of the things about tanks is, like, tanks have to develop kind of like a sixth sense for, like, what they think is going on behind them, because they're facing forward, but they're reliant on their supports to keep them alive. So tanks that kind of don't think about that, they just get blown up because they're like, oh, I just, I fought and I died and I don't understand why I don't heal. Like, those are the ones that, like, blame their teammates. But better tanks start learning, if I'm not being healing, there's probably a reason for that. Like, maybe you're distracted, like maybe you're being dove, maybe you're dead, whatever, but I need to preserve my own life. So he feels like he can't hold this position anymore and drops as a result. But if you were up here the whole time, he would never drop, and he'd probably even push into the train and start killing the supports.
Right.
So again, little things add up to big impacts over the game, because if the Maga stays here, he probably either kills a support or forces all 3 of them to retreat through the train and back here, because the 3 of them can't deal with you plus Maga, because Maga does so much damage. But he comes back up, he charges in, okay, great. So you follow him up, right? So I think this is a good time to be leeching, but, because, like, obviously nobody's really injured right now, just farming Ultra, which is fine. So you don't want to go down too far, right? I kind of feel, and this is, like, kind of tough to read here, I kind of feel that my Maga wants to take this fight again. Sorry. Like, I'm up here, my Maga drops, but I'm looking at this, right, even from your perspective, and I'm like, I think my Maga's going to re-engage. I think he's just reloading or something, and so I don't want to go too far down the stairs. Once I see him pass me to the left, I come back up right now, or even stay, like, right here, and then now I can follow him up quickly. You're, like, a little delayed on being able to follow him, and now you drop off. So if we look at this, again, you're over here, Maga charges in, so what you should be doing right now is you should be going up and with him into the train. But instead, you end up going out this way, which is no good, because now you're abandoning your tank. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you abandon your tank, unfortunate, right? I think you're probably just, like, confused as, like, what actually is going on right now, but you need to get to your tank, like, ASAP. The Lucio's playing with your tank at least, which is good. Alright, he goes in. So if he charges like this, I fade and follow him in. Because this, the phase of the fight we're in, is a commit. If he's charging in this far away from his team, your tank has chosen to commit right now. Like, he's not playing slow anymore. He's like, look, I see an opportunity, and you kind of need to follow up on that. And your tank will always be right, for the record. They're going to make a lot of mistakes. But you honestly don't have much of a choice other than to pocket him. Because if your tank charges in, and he doesn't get help, he's definitely going to die. And if he dies, the fight is lost. But if I follow him, even if it's a bad decision, there's a chance that you might be able to turn it. So as a general rule, unless it's, like, so obvious the tank's not going to be able to do anything, I think you should be following in right now. And you want to be fading to get over here as soon as possible, because you're too far away to be able to heal him right now. You see that?
Yeah, I didn't want to use my fade in case I needed to back up, but I see what you mean.
Right. And it's totally understandable, and it's tough, because one of the biggest parts about getting better at Moira is understanding when to fade, right? Obviously, I think it's good that you try to be conservative with your fade. You want to use fade only when you feel like you're in danger. But the problem is, sometimes you'll lose out on opportunities to get offensive value by not fading. So this is a good example where, hey, I could fade and I could stop right here. I'm not actually in danger because this is a very small space, right? This subway is a very small space, and the Maga covers, like, half of the space right now. they're not going to
I
be trying to.
hide behind him. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to try to target me with like the Maga in their face with like, double chain guns shooting them in the face. They're worried about the Maga, not about me. Plus, you have self-heal, right? Both with your leech and also with heal orb. And there's a Lucio with you. It's almost impossible, like mathematically, for them to kill you with the Maga in their face. So this is a situation where, in order to improve your gameplay, you need to read, I'm basically invincible. Like, even these, if you replace all the players here, GM players, I guarantee you could not die here. There just isn't any space here for them to possibly shoot you. So we're going to run over here. Yep. We're going to run over here, and we're going to see the spray. Spray barely reaches them, which is good, right? We're coming over here. You start pocketing them. It's fine. Lucio's frontlining, that's a mistake. You're also frontlining, which is a mistake. If the Mog is backing away from the door, I also back away from the door. It's not my job to push the door, right? It's just my job to keep the Maga alive right now.
Gotcha.
Leeching. Yep, we're fine here. You see, you're frontlining right now. Like, this one step forwards means you ate the Helix. And Helix Rocket does 120 damage, which is already, over 50% of your health. So this is the what I call like the support dance. Your tank goes forward, you go forwards. Your tank goes backwards, you go backwards. Tank goes forward, forwards. Tank goes backwards, backwards. That's the kind of like instinctual muscle memory reaction you need to have. So right now, your tank is staying there, right? Stay like a good distance away. Like this is like fine as a distance. Okay, this is fine. My tank is backing up. I need to be backing up right now, right? As the tank goes back, I also need to be going back, right? But instead, you see how the tank is backing up. You back up a little bit, which is good. But now you walk forwards through the Maga, right? Still backing up a little bit. But then, at some point, I think you walk back forwards. Yeah, see, now you walk back forwards. And part of this is you just aren't maintaining space to your Maga anymore, right? If you're right here, it's very hard to react forwards and backwards. But if I'm over here, I can easily see, hey, is the Maga going forwards or backwards? Because I have more time to react based on the space. If I play on top of my Maga, not only do I eat spam aimed at him, but it's harder for me to stay behind him as a result. So you step forward, you eat the Helix Rocket, and now you're in extreme danger. The soldier could have just killed you right there if he chose to commit to that fight. So you fade backwards, which is unfortunate because now you used fade, and now the Maga goes in. Now, there's a question here, it's like, why did the Maga go in here? Part of the reason the Maga went in here might be because he saw the fact that you ate the Helix Rocket. Right? He sees, oh, my Moira is in danger, I need to help her. Yeah, see, it's an instinctual reaction on his part. He's afraid you're going to die, so he's now charging out here. The problem is this is a bad charge. This is not the defender's side of the map. Okay, like this area is like very, very hard to hold as a defense. He's pulled too far away from the point as a result. And now he's out here trying to get kills or whatever, and he forces them back. But the issue is, what's going on over here is your team is getting 3v2'd right now, right? 1, 2, 3, right, against just one teammate, two teammates. So that charge forward by the Maga, to some extent, is actually going to cost you this fight because it pulls your team out of position. And to some extent, it's caused by you frontlining for a fraction of a second, eating a Helix Rocket, and him thinking he needs to save you. Does that all make sense? Like the chain reaction, like the butterfly effect of like how this occurs?
Yes.
And, this stuff is tough. It's one of the things I say in Overwatch is try to make the game as easy as possible for your teammates, right? If you are taking extreme risks, putting yourself in a ton of danger, your team is going to react to that and try to save you, but that might cause them to make bad decisions. But if you play things safer to some extent, right, and you make better decisions, your team doesn't throw away big cooldowns like cardiac overdrive or charge or whatever and pull themselves out of position. Because now your team in the back line's like, we have no supports here, and there is a tank, a DPS, and a support here all fighting us. They're gonna lose. Not only that, their team is able to rotate faster to the point, and now your poor Torb is being Torb plus Soldier are now being 5v2'd on the point because you and the other support are really far away from the fight. And that's the reason why you lose this fight, is the three of you get all pulled out of position. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, there's basically nothing you can do to win the fight. I mean, it's going to be 3v5 no matter what. I will note here that you do have an opportunity to maybe turn this around. So we drop low. You're trying to go after the Kiriko. She's clearly low. You know she's low. She swift steps. Kiriko has to swift step to a target. She is going to swift step in the direction that she is looking. And I saw that before she swift stepped, like just right now, I can see that she is looking this way. So obviously we know, because we're in replay reviewer, there's a soldier here. But even without that knowledge, even in game, if I was you, I can see that she's going in this direction. There's got to be somebody over here that she's swift stepping to. If you had the game sense earlier from knowing the soldier was there, you probably put it together that it's probably the soldier that she's going to. But either way, right now, understanding the situation where I know I've already, like, I can kind of see, like, my teammates getting, like, totally abused on point and they're probably going to die, this is a good opportunity to take a risk. When she swift steps, you could fade, jump, land here, and double kill both of them. Fairly easily, actually. Like, they both die very quickly. So, this is like a good moment where it's like, look, you can use fade to get big value. One of the tough things about Moira is Moira has no utility. All other supports have something else they bring, right? Lucio has speed, and he has boop, right? Ana has sleep and grenade, Baptiste has lamp, right? All the other supports have some utility they bring. Moira has no utility. But in exchange, Moira is a pretty good duelist, and she's a very consistent duelist, and her fade is like arguably the strongest defensive ability in the game, right? It's very fast, it has a low cooldown, and it moves you really far, both vertically and horizontally. And it makes you invincible and invisible. So, like, all the things about that fade makes it amazing. So I see the swift step, right? And you can be like, oh, I'm going to take a chance and come over here because I'm not going to win this fight otherwise. And the less likely you are to win a fight, the more risks you should be taking to win. Because I see my Maga, he's going towards point. I've lost my soldier already. My Maga's full health. And he has cardiac overdrive. So he's very tanky. He's not going to die instantly here. I can definitely leave him for 5 to 10 seconds and he's not going to be dead. Instead, I want to come over here and try to pick off these two heroes.
Got it.
Question.
Would I have gone over there? I didn't see the soldier because I think he ran by the wall. Mm-hmm. So I ended up killing the Kiriko.
Yep. So I think you run over here and then eventually go after the Kiriko. But you see how long it's going to take you?
Yeah, I was deciding if I should go by the tank. See, I throw him an orb, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? Because I see 5 people, so I kind of panicked.
Yes. So one of the things is, like, there's no way to win a fight right now. Like, even if you replaced you with me or the #1 Moira in the roll, like, there's no way. It's 5-on-1 and 5-on-2, and they have beat. There's no way you can win this fight, like, mathematically. So the thing is not, like, how could I win the fight at this point? It's how could I have changed things to not be in such a disadvantaged situation to begin with? And that starts with, A, not being pulled out of position in the train, but B, also getting the kills here right now, right after the soldier runs over and then the Kiriko go, and then you can kill both of these after the swift step occurs. Note here, okay. Do you know how much damage your ultimate fire, the leech, does, and how much damage your damage orb does?
I think it's like 50, and then the damage orb also does 80?
52, I think. Yeah, so both of them do 50 damage per second each. So that's 100 damage per second. So a full health 200 hero dies in 2 seconds, which is reasonably fast. Again, if they're bursty, they could kill you through it, but like reasonably fast. But these two heroes don't even have 200 health, right? They're both extremely low. You can kill both of them in a half second. So if you read here, so one of the things to note is like when you're pushing right now, so instead of walking out, because I would have swung this corner. You're like thinking, oh, I'm going to keep them alive, but I can hear them running out of my left ear, so I can already tell that they're retreating. I would have immediately booked it around the corner, because I know they're going to run to their team. I would have dropped down right now, been leeching the Kiriko. I see the soldier. As soon as fades up, I go right here, and I toss a damage orb this way towards the Mega, because that's where he's going to run, and I kill the soldier first, and then I kill the Kiriko. It's a tough read to make, but I'm just noting that this was a possibility for you, like this entire time. Like your fade's up, like you could still kill the Kiriko now. But at this point coming over, there's like nothing you can do to change this fight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this fight's over. Again, oh, I will note, once you realize the fight's over, just die. You trying to stay alive right now is basically pointless, because like, the point's gonna get capped anyway. You want to regroup with your team, because you want the next fight to happen out here. But the problem is, if you don't get away, and you die really late, you're not gonna take the forward spawn, you're gonna spawn all the way over here, which means you won't be able to take the fight outside of the gate here. Okay?
Okay, that's I've thought about that where like everyone else is dead and then I'm the only one alive. And I thought if I gave them the kill then that would be bad. But now that you mention that, should I do that most of the time?
So giving them the kill means almost nothing. I'll start by saying that the only thing that they get out of a kill for most heroes, the only exception being Zarya. Zarya should almost always try to live if she can because of her energy mechanic. But for all the heroes, all you're doing is giving them 200 points of ult charge. That's it. It's like, that's literally it. Like, don't try to heal yourself. Like, don't throw a healing orb and try to stay alive, because that gives them even more. Just go in there, leech some, right? Throw a damage orb to try to build your own ult charge, die, and then move on. The most important thing is to take as many fights as you can as a team. That single-handedly can get you all the way to, like, platinum. Take as many 5v5 fights as you can. A huge part of the reason why people lose at lower ranks is because they just can't get their team together to, like, fight as a team. They're constantly fighting, like, oh, 2v5, 4v5, 3v5, because they're staggering over and over again. But whenever people blame their teams, I look at the replay, they're always culpable. Like, there are always moments in the game, usually several moments in the game, where they are part of the problem. Because they don't realize when they need to die. Again, dying does not matter when you're the last one alive or when the fight's already decided. So right now, you're clearly not going to win this fight. You just want to die or get out. Like, you could also just try to fade out this way if you wanted to, but, like, no matter what, you need to just die. Because your life is relevant once the fight is determined. So we're going to note right now, you're going to go out here, and then you go and you're going to die. And this is literally the worst possible outcome because you died before the point got capped, which means you are not going to respond with the rest of your team here. You see, your team is all 4 people here. Let's look at the top. Right, waiting. Okay, now you've respawned, but where are you? Right?
So far away.
So far away. Like, you're so far away. So anything that happens out here, to some extent, like, anything bad that happens out here is now on you. It now is your responsibility that, like, if anyone dies right now or fight can't be won, it's because of you, because you're the one who staggered yourself, and now you aren't with your team when you should be. So do you see, like, the impact of, like, staggering and, like, how it makes it so hard to win fights?
Yeah, I didn't think about how that would be a big deal.
Yeah, no, it's
because during this fight I thought about it because in the upcoming fights you'll see that at least 2 of us are, like, out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said I died at key moments, or I didn't die. Is now one that I thought about.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's going to be extremely situational, right? Every single fight is going to play out a little differently, but as a general rule, if the fight is over, just suicide and die, right? To make sure that you respawn with your team. You can try to get out if you know you're going to get out. If you try to get out and die, that's the worst outcome. Again, your 200 points of ult charge is like nothing. For perspective, an average ult requires something like 1,400 to like 2,500 ult charge. So, like, your 200 points is like 10% of an ult, maybe, like 10 to 15% of an ult. It's not a big deal. And
okay.
That's assuming it goes to one hero, right? It's split across multiple heroes. You're talking, like, you know, some small single-digit percentage. So you're going to be coming back from spawn. Ideally, you really need to get moving. So you want to be fading out of spawn basically every single time, right? Unless the fight's happening at your spawn door, you want to get back to the fight as soon as possible. So you should fade out here and then pop jump to go over this, and that's the fastest way back to the fight, right? So just walking right now is no good. You really want to be fading right now to get back to the fight soon. So you've already lost 2 people, right? And then now, right, you're coming over, and now the fight's not winnable. Because now there's only 3 people left alive, and you don't have a tank. So in some, you know, to some extent, you bear responsibility now for both the first fight being lost and the second fight being lost. And it's tough. I mean, your teammates could have made better decisions, right? Ideally, they should have been like, oh, Moira didn't get forward spawn. We should not hold gate. What they should have done when they realized you didn't get forward spawn is they all should have rotated back and played platform up top. But, like, you can't control what they do, A. And B, this is Silver 4, so they're not going to know that they need to do that. They probably didn't even realize you're not there. They're probably just like, oh, why did we just get melted and killed all of a sudden?
Yep,
so.
yep.
All right, so now we're out here. Now you, like, can't do anything. Like, this is not a situation where, like, the Junkrat's really going to be able to do anything. Like, if you want to just farm ult charge, it's great. He manages to kill the Sombra somehow. Wow, you kill... Okay, somehow the Junkrat kills 2.
I got 2 kills from that, yeah.
I will note here that at higher ranks this will simply not happen because everyone will hear this. Like, the soldier's visoring right now even. Like, he's shooting at Kiriko, the Lucio's not looking, the soldier's not looking, the Sombra is trying to hack him, gets killed. Nobody has turned around yet. At higher ranks this will not happen. Like, the Junkrat won't get any value. He won't get a single kill and he'll just get killed right away. So you definitely should not go down there or try to do anything crazy. But, I mean, at this point, sure, things have gone weirdly. So yeah, you're burning on the soldier. Yeah, tough choice between damage and heal orb there. I think what you did was okay. And you definitely need to not die right now. So at this moment, don't try to go back in when you have 42 health. I would just try to get out the platform and go back to safety. Because if you die right now, you're going to stagger yourself. So soldier's low. You just saw him on your screen, right? You just saw him like jump in front of you. He's super, super low. All right, good. See, this is another good example where the soldier's super low. He's run up next to you, presumably to get healing. But because you don't notice and start healing him right away, he's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not going to get healed. And so he's going to pop heal station right now. So heal station's a very long cooldown, an 18-second cooldown that he's not going to have that. So, which could have been avoided by you just healing him on time. Little things create large downstream effects, right? Because he might end up in a duel or like getting spammed out because he's low, where he doesn't have heal station because he used heal station right now unnecessarily. You're frontlining again right now. Just noting. So D.Va's on your flank. One thing to note is there's only 2 ways to really attack from here. Theoretically 3, but like generally there's only 2 ways that people attack from here. So path number 1 is they attack this way, and path number 2 is they attack over the top. Theoretically, they get attacked this way, but it almost never happens. So you have angle number 1 to worry about and angle number 2 to worry about. So if you're standing, you don't want to stand here, because right here they can attack you without you realizing what's going on. You probably want to stay either, depending on what type of weapons they have, you want to stay either over here if they're all short range, or directly under the stair right there, because that will shelter you. Because if you stand over here, you can see how they can't actually, if I'm standing here, you see how they can't actually see you from there. So this spot is reasonably safe. If they don't have long range weapons, you can play wide out here, where you don't have to worry about getting shot from here or here, because if they're short range, like a Reaper, for example, or a Symmetra, they can't do a lot of damage to you from this distance. Alright, so frontline again, as I mentioned, you fade out because you were not aware of the D.Va. That's the reason why I was talking about that, is that you didn't know the D.Va was there on your right, and you're like, oh shoot, and you immediately fade away. But now you wasted fade, and you weren't even in that much danger. Like, look at your health, right? You drop all the way down to like 160-ish before you fade. Like, that's too quick. I think you could have waited.
And I shouldn't have faded either because of the Sombra. Yeah,
and you're also in a healing station. So, like, you're in a healing station. I think you have the Zen Orb as well. Like, there's a lot of reasons why you're actually not in any danger in that situation. Yeah, so we're out here. You're frontlining again, right? Way ahead of your tank right now. So this puts you in a lot of danger to be out here. It's not strictly an issue per se. Like, there are times where this is actually a good call, because right now the only person who can pressure you is Lucio, and you can win against Lucio in a duel. But I'm just noting is that, like, I don't know that you're thinking about that. Like, this would be a good play if you knew if this was intentional. If you're like, look, I'm going to go up, I'm going to pressure this off angle. But
I was trying, so I've been trying to take more off angles with my play.
Okay.
I know the tank is right there, and I saw the 2 supports by themselves, so it's like I'm going to go behind them a little bit.
Okay.
And also I was looking for the Sombra too.
Okay. In that case, I think this actually is a good play, because your tank is actually not in danger right now. Number 1, he's got Harmony Orb. Number 2, he's got Cardiac, right? And he's got cover.
And he's full health.
Yeah, and he's full health. Like, I think this is actually, then I take that back. I think this actually is a good play to go for the Lucio. What I will note here is, where did you throw the damage orb? I guess it's an okay damage orb. That's fine. Yeah, you saw the Sombra teleport away. And go back here. Yeah, if you want to take this, I think this is actually fine. So, with Coalescence, what are you thinking of Coalescence?
I was thinking to take out the Lucio.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think that the problem here is, first of all, you didn't know the boop was coming, but I understand that. Number 2 is, though, that they have a lot of cover here, so there's a lot of ways for them to kind of break the Coalescence. So if the Lucio was not standing here, but standing here, for example, I think maybe you could burn him down with Coalescence. But if he's this close to the cart, he could just keep kiting you around the cart, which will make it very difficult for you to get anything done. But I do like the fact that you're looking for it. The problem is now, okay, now you pop Coalescence, and now you're like, oh, now what do I do with it? You should have healed the soldier, too. You saw the soldier was low. But you're burning him down, which is good. EMP gets popped. I'm surprised that didn't hit you. So
I think it was meant for me.
Yeah, I think he just missed it. So you're burning him down. Okay, great. So we got some kills. Like, what phase in the fight are we in right
now? Commit.
Well, I would note, do you look at the top right at all?
So does it not count as commit if they're dead?
So So remember, the phases are poke, right? Poke, commit, and then retreat or slash cleanup, depending which side you're on, right?
So I guess it's cleanup since we killed 2?
Correct, right? The fight is over right now. Plus, we still have an active visor. So we're no longer in a commit phase. I no longer have to worry about my team losing the fight. I don't have to worry about myself dying. I'm worried now about, hey, how do I kill as many opposing enemies as fast as I can, or rather, preventing them from escaping, because I want the maximum stagger on the opposing team. What they did to you, you want to do to them now. You want to kill all of them, right? Get a bunch of ult charge, because especially you're at 1 now. Get all that ult charge, and then prevent them from regrouping. That way, it burns time off the clock. So this is a moment where you could consider an aggressive fade at this moment. Like, soldiers actively visoring, they're all trying to run away. You could just fade out here and just toss a damage orb and just blow up the soldier, for example. Right? Or come over here and try to kill a Lucio, right? Soldier, I think, is definitely your best bet here, but you're still playing as though you think this is the commit phase, right? You see how you're playing safe, you're playing behind the cart, but they lost a support and a Sombra right away. So your whole team is going in, and they're trying to get the kills now. You got to go to try to get the kills. But you see that if you don't go right away, the soldier now gets away, and he's able to regroup and able to apply more pressure. And now you have a soldier shooting from your left that could have been dead if you'd recognized, hey, the phase of the fight has changed. We're no longer in a commit phase. Like, now, this is a commit phase, right? Definitely serious. We don't know who's going to win. We killed 1. Okay, good chance we're going to win this fight. Killed the 2nd. Now we've won the fight. Losing a 5v3 almost never happens. Other than something like a Diva Bomb, Junkrat Tire, etc., you almost never lose 5v3s. So right now, you're in good shape. Especially if everyone full health. Like, you're in really, really good shape. You should have, like, immediately gone and killed the soldier. Alright, so we're walking forwards. Alright, you're coming over, you're trying to deal with the soldier on the side flank. I think a note here is the #1 priority is actually not to kill the soldier, it's actually to heal your Junkrat. Because you don't want your Junkrat to die right now. And if you just heal him, right, throw a healing orb, break your heal spray, both, he won't die to the soldier, because he's definitely surprised right now. Your priority should be making sure the Junkrat lives. Soldier does enough damage that he can just almost kill the Junkrat and then get away before you can do anything about it. Like, running over here takes too long. Yeah, I wouldn't go too crazy going far out there. Yeah. So now you get out of position. Like, that's the thing, is you don't really want to chase wide out here. Soldier with heal station will easily beat you as Moira, because the heal station itself heals for like 35 health a second. You only deal 50 damage a second with your leech because you didn't have orb. So that means you're only doing 15 damage a second, which is like impossible to kill the soldier with.
Got it. Yeah.
So you get burned down right now, right? Leech, I would immediately throw heal orb as soon as you have it available, right? I would start dodging right now. So dodge, 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 and then as soon as you have heal orb, toss heal orb like towards this wall to make sure you get healed. Because you're at 38 health right now, you still haven't thrown your heal orb. Anything could kill you. Like, literally 1 bullet from the soldier, like mathematically 1 bullet, because it's 19 damage a bullet. 1 bullet from the soldier kills you right now. So you can't be not throwing heal orb yet. So you come out late, you throw heal orb, and because you're super low, the soldier kills you instantly. So putting that together, you need to stay higher on health, and you definitely shouldn't be fading in with no health, right? Your instinctual response should be, as soon as I get heal orb, I throw heal orb right now. Because Sombra could even just re-peek this corner and kill you. So this is like extreme danger, right? You now fading into the front line is extremely dangerous, but you did have an opportunity to walk this way, break LOS the soldier, and get the mini as well. But he still could have killed you with a splash rocket. So you dying here is going to mean the fight's over. Alright, coming back again, remember the fade from spawn, right? Because you want to get back to the fight sooner. This applies to basically all heroes. All heroes with movement ability, when you spawn and you're trying to regroup your team, use movement abilities to get there as soon as you can.
Okay.
Yep. So your team manages to hold. Again, this is a good scenario where I don't want to be fading up, right? Because I want to get out there, I want to heal that soldier as soon as possible. But with Maga dead, not a good situation. The team has short spawn. We probably, as a team, want to reset and back up to high ground. But your team may not necessarily realize that. So I see beat is dropped, so they're going to push in with the beat. So I want to keep people alive here, but if I'm in danger, I'll just fly out. But they are not doing a good job pushing with the beat. You want to be throwing that heal orb right now to make sure that the Junkrat gets the heal. Yeah. Like, it's really important to react quickly. So when you don't have a tank, whoever is your front line person is the tank. You should treat them like the tank in terms of your positioning. So you want to be standing here, because that way you can spray towards the Junkrat. Does that make sense?
Yes. I didn't know that. I I thought we would retreat because the tank died. That's why I'm kind of like hesitant. So I go up a little bit, and then I'm like, should I do that?
It is the right call for your team to retreat. However, your team is not going to always make a good decision. So you kind of need to play around what your team is going to do. Like, don't be frontlining, because then your team will stay with you. But so don't be part of the problem. But if your team is going to make bad decisions, like, help them out and try to save them from the bad decision. Because if you stay right here, you can basically keep your Junkrat alive from anything, and you'd be right here keeping your Junkrat alive. He nearly dies right now. With slightly better aim, the Junkrat dies. So, believe it or not, like, with the D.Va diving at you right now, I wouldn't even fade right now, because it's actually quite. Yeah, so it's quite hard for the D.Va to actually damage you right now. Look at your health. Look when she starts engaging. So she's gonna fly in. Okay, you're at 200 health right now. So D.Va's gonna dive. First of all, there's 2 people here, so D.Va's got to deal with 2. Look how little damage you're taking right now. Right, when you faded, you have 186 health. Your leech alone will regen you back to full in half a second. So you're not actually in any danger. If the D.Va stops next to me, okay, yeah, then I'm getting out. But if the D.Va's only flying out here, right, I don't actually need to necessarily do anything yet, and I want her to waste her time trying to commit to me, because I know me plus a soldier will be able to demech her in this situation, because now she's trapped. See, now you're too far away. Now you're getting back in, right? Damaging, and this D.Va should get demeched, ideally. Yeah. So, she gets popped, and then you're going to escape this D.Va bomb. Yeah, unfortunately, they don't. So, with 2 people dead, you must get out. This is no good. So as soon as that happened, like, literally, right? Like, I already see the Junkrat die. I don't think I go in even then. Right, with the Junkrat dead, I just go back.
Back to the tank, yeah.
Exactly. So you don't want to frontline now, because now you're hardcore frontlining. So 4 people are looking at you. Sombra could hack you, but she dies because she's silly. and now you want to pocket your tank right now. Yeah, great. Tank is good. Yep, pocket the soldier. Good. So one of the things I noted earlier was healing spray accuracy, right? And I sent you a little video on it. So let's look at you trying to heal the soldier. So that's missing right now. So finally we're getting him to heal. He starts moving, and you'll notice that you're missing him with all this spray. You're still missing him, like maybe you got him with like 1 tick of it, still missing him, and then you got him briefly, now you aimed too far, now you're healing him.
Oh my god, that's so terrible.
So that's like half of your resources out, and you got maybe 100 something healing on the soldier. It's tough because it's hard to tell from the first person perspective that you're missing so much. But I'm telling you, like,
not look like that.
Yeah. See how you're kind of slow to like react with it, and it's tough, right? But that's why I sent you the video so you can like visualize the projectiles of it. It's kind of like a fire hose, but like a slow-moving fire hose of water. And so you need to lead people a little bit with it constantly to make sure that you're actually applying the heal. Because stuff like that, A, you heal slower because it's not hitting them, and B, you're burning your resource gauge, which you might need later. And both of those things are important to clean up mechanically to climb more.
Okay.
So you just saw your Mog is low and you didn't finish healing him. That's a note. Okay, so right now you're hardcore frontlining again.
Yeah, I do that. I threw the orb to help finishing, is what I was thinking.
You threw the orb, to finish the heal on the Maga?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see that the Maga is going this way, and the orb is going that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The orb isn't actually going to heal him because he's walking in an opposite direction of the orb. See? He's still missing 100 health right now, and the orb is flying away. Okay, so you're frontlining right now, but you're not just frontlining. I want to highlight something. This is also fairly common, especially for people who are new to shooters. You never want to be moving. Actually, let me draw it first. So imagine this is you. This is the enemy. Okay? When you're trying to dodge fire, you always want to be moving. In general, it's a little complicated, but you always want to be moving left, right, or what I call west, east, right? West, east. You never want to be moving north, south, right? These are bad. You don't want to be doing this. Do you know why?
Because that just goes either more into the bullets or you just back up, but you're in the same direction.
Correct. If they're aiming at you and you go north towards them, they're still aiming at you. If they're hitting you before, they're going to keep hitting you. If you're going south backwards, if they were hitting you before, they're still going to keep hitting you, unless it's like a range-based, like a arcing projectile. But if you go west-east, if they were shooting at you, right, if they shoot a bullet at you, okay, if you go sideways, then the bullet will go by you. But if you just go backwards, they're going to hit you no matter what. So that's like the basic concept of dodging attacks in shooter games. And I want to note this because at higher ranks, you'll like develop this very instinctually when you're like, oh, I'm going to take a lot of damage right now. Because literally at higher ranks, going forward backwards will triple to quadruple the amount of damage you take if you do that. Because watch, in a second, you're going to start walking forwards when you're frontlining. Again, frontlining in general, not a good idea. So let's watch your movement right now. You see how you're just running in a straight line at the soldier?
Yep.
So if he was shooting at you earlier, he would be hitting every single bullet at you because he doesn't actually need to aim. Once his crosshair is on target, every single bullet will hit you and you get melted. Plus, he could have fired Helix here to kill you as well. So stuff like that, you got to be very careful of. Never go north-south towards somebody who is trying to shoot at you. If they're not looking at you, that's fine. But if they're looking at you, actively shooting, always go, almost always, 95% of the time. You'll reach a level where this advice is not always accurate, but at least at your level, just always think go west-east. Because there's some more complicated ways to dodge as well.
Got it.
All right. So, continuing on. All right. So, I think what you're doing now is okay. You're not in a lot of danger. I would know your Mog is still missing health, but like he doesn't really need you. So if you want to like try to hold some space here, it's fine. I mean, you forced out Suzu somehow, so great. So now I want to be healing the Maga. Yep. Note that almost like none of this healing spray is reaching him because you're too far away. So Maga's committed out there. I would be like, I would consider fading out here because I don't know exactly what he saw, but I think it's okay also to wait. I would not be looking this way. I'd probably be looking, be like, what's my Maga doing? Because, you know, generally speaking, I think these three should be okay out here, but Trance gets popped, unfortunate. So this is kind of a key moment right now. You got a lot of stuff going on. So for bad guys, we got bad guy here, and he's visoring. Bad guy here, bad guy here, bad guy here. And then for good guys, we have you up here, here, tanks over there, and here. So what should we do right now?
Go by the tank?
You could go to the tank. The last you saw, the tank was like reasonably healthy and has dropped below. And because he's cardiac overdrive, it's very hard to kill him. But you could definitely go to the tank. Yeah, that's definitely an option. What else?
Well, the diva was super low, so I figured I could demech her, I think is what I did right there.
Yeah, I think demeching her is a good idea as well, right? What are your other options?
Dropping down and shooting, I don't know who that is, but the person who's low HP over there.
Oh, this one, Kiriko? This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you could potentially attack her. Is there any place in particular you'd want to stand?
By the Zen.
Correct. So this heals for 300 health a second. Soldier only does 192. So it's impossible, generally speaking, for Soldier to kill you while you're in trance. You'll in fact stay full health the entire time. So you could drop even right here and attack the Kiriko or the Soldier right now and be totally safe. I think demeching the diva is perfectly fine. I would just note here is that you're actually missing half of your health, or almost half your health. So dropping in briefly to get the trance, to get healed up, is also a reasonable idea. So you go for the diva, but then you give up, right? It's like you think about, oh, I'm going to demech diva, because you would have seen how low she is, right? As soon as you start damaging, you'd see how low she is. But the second she starts shooting at you, you're like, oh, I don't really know if I can do this, and then you fade out. I would note that you should probably be able to demech her here. I do think you're going to need to throw Healing Orb. And so for Healing Orb, you don't want to throw it in a way that you can eat it. If you turn this way and then throw Healing Orb, or like against this wall, it's going to make it hard for her to matrix it, because it'll be around the corner and farther away. So you could throw Healing Orb here, come back, and then demech her. Even without the orb, I think you'll probably demech her, but you'll be pretty low by the time you do it. But I think fading out here is very dangerous right away. Because when you fade out, you'll notice that you don't land anywhere near the Zen. This is why I asked you earlier what you think you should do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you came all the way out here, and now you're stuck in the open. As a reminder, the Soldier still has Visor active. So he could have burned you down really easily after this fade. Like, it's just very lucky that he doesn't, you see, he could kill you right now. Like, he will kill you in less than a second. If you hit the ground here, you'll have like almost no health. So he should honestly have killed you right now. But even now, he could just turn the corner, swing on you, because you have no fade, so he can just kill you right now still. So all the things that you did from there were dangerous. And it's tough because moments like this is the commit phase of the fight, right? This is where fight winning or losing is determined, and it's hard because you got to make good decisions based on the information you have at the time. But demeching the D.Va was fine. Joining your tank is okay. I would say probably not the optimal option. Dropping into the Zen trance and then applying damage pressure here, also fine. I think jumping this far out is quite dangerous. There's almost no way for you to win a fight against a Kiriko and a soldier, because a Kiriko alone heals for like 75 health a second. You can't outdamage that, like, mathematically. Even with damage orb, it's only 25 damage a second. But the soldiers killed your Junkrat, right? You throw a damage orb at him, now you're getting shot by Baby D.Va, and you're gonna fade out here. So this is okay. Maga goes in, that's fine, right? So look, I know multiple people are dead. I know they don't have a tank. Yeah, just apply damage right now. Moira faded. I just saw and heard her fly past me. Quick question. Do you actually have a headset? Do you wear a headset when you play?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just checking. So I run into a good chunk of players, a surprising chunk of players who do not wear headsets while playing. And I'm like, well,
I don't know how they survive that.
I agree. But I'm just noting is that you would have both seen and heard the Moira fade to your left. So I see the fade. You saw it briefly, but even if you didn't see it, you would hear it out of your left ear right now, the fade terminating right next to you. Because the Moira is going to stop right next to you here. So you could have turned right now, tossed damage orb, and then killed her. But you didn't seem to react to that.
What did I do? Oh, I was with.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was too late.
Yeah. But my point is, you have a lot of time here, right? So, like, it would just count out from when she finishes the fade. Right there, right? She just finished her fade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I don't know why I thought she would be on the other side. That didn't make any sense for me to look that way. Yeah, I noticed my reaction time is very slow. That's something I'm trying to work on.
Yeah, and I don't really know how someone works on the reaction time other than more experience, right? Your brain gets better at processing, like, because there's a lot of stuff going on, right? Audio inputs, visual inputs. You'll get better over time. I'm just noting that you actually did know in the situation that the Moira had faded to the left. And then not reacting to that is unfortunate, because your Zen's going to get burned down by the Sombra and the Moira, and then, you're not really doing a lot right now. Now you're in big trouble. You're burning down the Moira. Moira fades. Kiriko comes in. This is a mistake by the Kiriko. She's trying to save the Moira, but the Moira's getting out. You should immediately throw damage orb right now against the wall and kill the Kiriko, because she cannot survive right now. Does that make sense? She's like definitely gonna die. But
I think I killed her.
You didn't throw the damage orb right away. So instead of killing her in 2 seconds, you're gonna kill her in 4+ seconds, right? Even more than that, like 6 seconds right now. Now, in this fight, is it gonna make a difference? No. But in some fights, it will. In some fights, she'll live, right? And then turn the fight around or whatever it ends up being. So that's just important, is knowing, hey, look, as soon as somebody makes a mistake, right? Right here, immediately damage orb, right? Right away, I throw the damage orb and I go for the kill.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I would probably, if she's doing this, I'd run with her, because I'm looking for once she hits that final box right now, I melee her. Because melee does 30 damage and each box is 25. So as soon as I see just the last box filled in, I insta-kill her with the melee versus having to wait like, half second to kill her with the right click.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. So, as a note, we are not even halfway through the video. Do you want me to continue with the current pace? Is there a specific section of the video you want me to cover? I just want to do like a time check.
Oh wow, that went by super fast.
Yeah.
Probably the second half.
Okay. So, any particular part of the offense, or?
The first fight. I'm not sure when that happens, but the first fight that happens.
Okay.
Probably.
So this one right here, this looks like the first fight.
I think it is. I think that's the first one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just help kill the turrets. Yeah, this is all fine. Yeah, heal the soldier up. So Mog is in, so I want to be going in right now as well. I would probably help, kill the turrets right now. Turrets are definitely a danger at this moment in time. You got to be throwing the healing orb sooner. Ugh. As a general rule, when in tough committed fights, if you're not sure which the orb to throw the healing orb, assuming you have teammates like teammates and enemies mixed. The reason being is healing orb heals A, faster than damage, and B, it heals more than the damage orb. Heal orb heals for 300, damage orb heals for 200. Obviously, if I can use the damage orb to kill somebody, kill them. But if you're like, hey, there's like a lot of stuff going on right now, I would throw healing orb here to try to make sure the Maga lives. Because the Maga dies, the fight's over anyway, and there's no way 200 damage split among 4 heroes is going to make any difference in this fight. But 300 health to the Maga might make a difference. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just, that one disappointed me because I know I was late to healing him because I was getting the turrets, but then I was in a, it wasn't this game, in a different game, I ignored the turrets a little bit to heal someone, and then I died right after because I was trying to fix that mistake from earlier.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it's tough because it's very situational. Do you know how much damage the turrets do?
I think you said they do like 30.
Yeah, it's like 25 or 30 damage per second, so not a lot. So I think right here is I would just walk with the turrets while zapping me, blow up 1, blow up 2, and then keep healing my Maga. Because, you know, it's not really a lot of damage, and no one's looking at me, so even if I drop to like 150, 125, I'm probably not going to die here. So I wouldn't be worried about it. My number one priority here is that I'm really scared about my Maga dying, because he's like crazy extended. So I need to get up there as soon as possible.
Yep.
Alright, so with Maga dead, this fight's over. Right, now we're in back.
Also, I'm pretty sure I meant to click healing orb there instead of damage orb. Sometimes I click my paddle.
Yep.
Click the wrong paddle.
Yep. Yeah, that stuff will happen. It'll get cleaned up more as you play more. Okay, so D.Va's gonna commit on your soldier in here.
What do you think about? Yeah, I was gonna ask you. What do you think about this portion of it?
Okay, so let's think about this fight. So based on the information I have right now, you have one teammate, teammate versus an enemy tank, right? So this is going to be a 2v1 in your favor. So in this situation, what I think you should do, and I think what pretty much all top players are going to say, is all you need to do is heal the soldier, because the D.Va is not going to die right now. She is full health right now. I don't do a lot of damage as Moira. I'm not like a Zen. I'm not a Baptiste. My damage is like irrelevant for like tanks ignore Moira damage. Like I literally like I don't change any of my decision making as a tank, whether or not Moira is attacking me or not, because your damage is like almost basically like Symmetra turret level.
Yeah.
But D.Va does a significant amount of damage to the Sojourn, so the Sojourn could die here. So I need to make sure the Sojourn doesn't die. And if the Sojourn stays alive, Sojourn does a lot of damage, right? Sojourn does like 150 plus DPS. So the Sojourn can burn down the D.Va over time. My only goal here is make sure the Sojourn doesn't die. So I should focus the Sojourn and heal the entire way. But you are damaging instead. And because you're damaging, the Sojourn's going to get extremely low, and you notice that your damage is like...
Look at my change in my decision-making right here. Because
Yeah.
I remember actually doing this thing, before I had hopped on, I was watching you react to a Moira player who said that like he did everything right and his team was wrong, whatever. And I remember you telling him that he could have healed the Genji or something,
Yep.
and they could have won the 1v1
Yep.
or the 2v1.
Yeah.
So then my brain, I was like, oh wait, let me heal the Sojourn, and we actually ended up killing the D.Va.
Yeah, that's correct. That's exactly what happens here. So you make the right call here eventually is of healing the Sojourn, because now you're like, wait, all I have to do is keep the Sojourn alive and we win. And without your healing, the Sojourn's dead right now. She's down to 25. You've definitely healed more than 25 right now. With the heal, the D.Va just can't kill her. She's so low right now, right? You notice the accuracy is still an issue, right? We're like missing a bunch. But because of this, you went from D.Va would have gotten a pick and then left, which would have been a big play for her, to now we've demeched the D.Va, which makes it very likely we will win the fight. So healing the Sojourn here is a fight-winning move. But you had to know that the right call here was healing the Sojourn and not damaging the D.Va.
Yep.
I will note, hopefully, for next time, you don't want to cut it this close. Like, the moment that she engages, immediately start healing the Sojourn. And then as soon as
I waited until she was like 0 health for it to like click with me too.
Correct. There's no reason to wait. You should have like been healing the whole time when she dropped, throw the healing orb. Likely D.Va eats it, but even D.Va eats it, that's less damage the D.Va's doing. The D.Va for sure could have killed this Sojourn. If you look from the D.Va's perspective, she's going to fly in. So she's missing all of this right now, right? Still missing, still missing, still missing, still missing, right? Finally she comes out of the air. Missing. Like the D.Va's hitting like 10% maybe? Missing, still missing, still missing, still missing, still missing, Still missing. Okay, finally she's on track. And you'll notice that, like...
I was wondering what the Sojourner was thinking this whole time.
But this is the reason why I'm highlighting this is at higher ranks, the diva will not miss that much, and the Sojourner will die so fast if you're not like right there immediately healing the Sojourner. Yep. Make sense? Yeah. To be clear, if you're healing the Sojourner and you actually are hitting the heal, it's very unlikely a diva can kill, because your heal is something like without healing orb is still like 80-ish health a second. Diva does 144, but Sojourner's a hard target to hit because she's thin. So it's unlikely the diva's going to be hitting that much damage against the Sojourner. So probably you keep the Sojourner, almost assuredly you keep the Sojourner alive, especially with heal orb, as long as you're like immediately healing. The margin for error goes down like the higher the ranks you go. Okay. So with diva demeched, right, and killed, okay, you fade forwards. I think you're frontlining right now. I think this is a potentially dangerous fade depending on how much information I had about the situation, but going after the supports right now is good. I think you could honestly just continue hitting the Mercy right now, because you identify her, okay, you're burning. The Moira is not healing right now, and then I see that shot, I saw the Sojourner railgun. I'm going to keep attacking the Mercy right now. You see how you're too far out of range? You're like 5 meters too far. Step forward right now, damage the Mercy. This damage orb is unlikely to do a lot, because it's going to fly out. Like, always think, what's behind my target? Is the damage orb going to come back and do something useful? Versus throwing it in the corner here is much more helpful. Especially since, looking at the terrain here, there's a mini health pack right there. And the Symmetra's here. So the Mercy's likely to try to hide in this corner and or get the mini health pack. So you want to throw the orb this way, right? Or like ideally actually against this wall versus this way is no good, because this is going to fly right by her and barely do any damage. Like that did, like, I don't know, 40, oh, she walks back into it, but it does like, 50, 60 damage against her, but it could have done a lot more.
Okay.
But setting up, right, looking, there's not a ton you could do right now. Again, it's like pretty tricky. You could fade and take this spot if you think about space control, because that would force the Symmetra away from the wall, and then your Sojourner could get a kill. I think that's actually a pretty good play right now. But there's definitely some risk there. By the way, meleeing insta-kills turns. Yeah, so you fade back out. Alright, killing the Sojourner. So Mog is going in. Yeah, Moira here. I saw that my Ana is very low. Right, so she's being burned right now. I see my Ana. She's like, oh, missing 75, missing almost 100 health right now. Like, I understand that you're damaging Moira, but like, again, you don't really need to damage Moira. Most important thing is don't let your Ana die. The Moira is not going to kill your Ana in this situation. However, if any other damage comes in, your Ana could die. So you need to prioritize keeping your Ana below like one-shot range, which is like roughly 150 health. Once people drop below 150, they can like die instantly to a lot of different attacks. So I think your priority here should be healing the Ana. But unfortunately, you still don't heal the Ana at all, which is sad. Ana's super low over here. This damage orb, again, not great. This is a good example of like, by default, once the fight is committed, if you're not sure what's going on, throw heal orbs over damage orbs. Because this damage orb is not going to do a whole lot, but healing orb here would be very valuable for both your Maga and your Ana. Okay, so this is something. Oh my God. Yeah, this is gonna happen to you multiple times in this half, and arguably cost you the game. So for Diva Bomb, you're gonna fade too early, and you don't get out of range. Like you don't get break LOS. There's like it feels like panic to me. So to help you with this, I'm going to just sit here and give you an idea of how long you have to survive Diva Bomb. Right? So you see, and for the record, the camera movement speed is slower than, it's a little slower than in-game movement speed. But you see that like literally, I literally just like sat here, like next to the Diva Bomb, right? I have so much time to get away from the Diva Bomb. So Diva Bomb takes, I think, like 4 seconds to explode or something. It's like an eternity in Overwatch. But as soon as you hear Diva Bomb, you're like, oh God, and you immediately pop Fade. Unnecessary. So my tips here, number one is, do I even need to fade? Can I just walk into a doorway or walk behind the bus stop? Right? If I can do that, I can save my fade. Great. Option number two, if I do need to fade out, what's the timing? Do I want to fade now, like right away, to immediately reset my cooldown and go behind Fire Truck? Or is it like, hey, I can actually stick around here for a while, wait till it's about to explode, and then fade? Is another idea. Number three is, sometimes I don't even want to leave my spot. Like, sometimes this spot is very good. I could keep, like, dueling the Moira, wait till it's about to explode. Now I pop Fade, right? And then I come back in after the bomb explodes. The timing there is a little tight. It's not so tight, but it's a little tight. But I'm just noting that you have a lot of options here. But the biggest overall tip here is do not panic when the Diva Bomb is thrown. First thing is look for cover that I can get to by walking. And then, only if that doesn't seem like it's going to work, then I should use Fade. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So down here is unfortunate. Down a teammate. We have to push back again. Okay, I'm going to pause there. So what do you want to cover at this point? Do you want to keep going with this?
No, I'm not sure. I just know that in the other 2 spawns, I think I died to Diva Bomb again because I've honestly never seen anybody get the Diva Bomb back that quickly. So I was not expecting that at all. And then I think I don't respawn with the team, which is why we lost the last 2 fights, if I remember correctly, and then we lose the game because of that.
Yeah, I don't remember offhand, but that sounds about right, based on my memory. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I would just could you just go over what we talked about?
Okay, so we went over a lot of things. I would say, summarizing, number 1, this is probably the easiest one, don't frontline, right? Not unless you're like intentionally taking an off angle to like pressure the back line, don't step in front of your tank. I think that's probably the biggest, easiest kind of number 1 to kind of note down. Number 2, healing spray accuracy, just something to note. I'm not saying you need to sit down and like do an aim trainer or whatever. I mean, it's up to you if you want to, but just like recognizing that your healing spray is not nearly as accurate as maybe you might think it is an important thing to note, and just like try to be better about leading targets and making sure you're actually on target. Number 3, we talked a bunch about orbs, right? Healing versus damage and the right timing for them, right? We talked number 4. Sorry, am I going too fast? Let me know if I just slow down.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Number 4, we talked about the different phases of the fight, right? The poke versus commit versus the cleanup phase, and understanding how my decision making changes, where I stand, right? If it's a poke phase, I'm standing really far away, I'm spamming orbs. If it's the commit phase, I'm ultra like conscious of every decision I make, because that's going to make or break the fight. And when it's the cleanup phase, I can be very aggressive to clean up kills to make sure that they stagger, or I should be dying. So we talked about the phases of the fight. We also talked about staggering, right? Staggering was a really important one. We don't want to be the one who's staggering against the team, right? We don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution.
Staggering? What do you mean by that?
Staggering is when you die and you're desynced with the team.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
So like first point defense where all 4 people died, then you survived like another 20 seconds, and then you died after the point was capped, so you didn't even get forward spawn, and you spawned really, really far away. That's a stagger. Like a staggered spawn.
Yeah.
The other thing we noted is healing teammates on a timely fashion, right? That's important because you need to heal people or else they use their abilities or they get blown up or whatever ends up happening. We talked about that. We also talked about... I'm trying like filtering through. Like we talked about other things, like we talked about like space control briefly. We talked about the dance, right? The support tank dance, right? Tank goes forward, I go forwards. Tank goes backwards, I go backwards. That dance I think is really important to highlight at your level. We didn't talk too much about coalescence. Not a lot about that.
With my coalescence, what should I say about that? Usually, sometimes I pop it and I get no kills with it. Like, not because they're behind, maybe because they do hide. So do I just make sure that I pop it when they're in an open spot?
It's complicated. as are many things in Overwatch, it is very complicated. The thing is, so it's one of the things that's unfortunate we're not watching the second half is like you actually pop a lot more coalescences here. But like, I'm gonna jump over to. So this is a good example. So right now, like let's imagine that you hadn't popped coalescence, but you're about to pop coalescence. I can look at the situation and think, is coalescence good value here? A. B, is it gonna result in kills or a teamfight win? And C, where do I want to do it from? That comes from thousands of hours of playing this game, of knowing like, hey, what is this going to do? I also know how much damage coalescence does, which is not a lot. It only does 70 damage a second, which is, again, not a lot of damage. So I'll give you a quick tip here. you really don't want to be taking coalescences from an off angle unless you can isolate a target or targets and get the kill. So right now, I'm not confident that I can kill anybody in this situation with Coalescence from this angle. Bastion's way too tanky. The Mercy's probably going to fly away, right? And the Moira is also coalescing, so it's very possible that she can just counteract whatever my healing is. Comparatively, if I can be here, this is an ultra high value Coalescence, because I'm going to heal one, damage 4, and heal another. So that's 2 heals for 140 health a second. That's 280 heal a second. And that's 4 heroes at 70 damage a second. That's 280. So that's 210 healing. Sorry, 280 healing and 280... Oh, yeah. Math works out perfectly. It's 280 DPS and 280 HPS if I'm standing right here. I want to try to line up multiple targets, or I want to focus a single target who I know I can kill. The problem here is it's really hard to actually focus somebody down and kill them, right? She pops Valk. Like, you do a pretty good job here, but, like, again, you notice, like, you only got her down to about half. To be fair, you did force Valk, but, like, that's not a fight-winning ultimate, you see? Like, your team still ends up losing here, and, like, that's still bad. Like, you want to pop ultimates, and you want them to change the outcome of a fight. You were losing the fight to begin with. Go ahead.
What do you think about using it to heal a tank instead?
Situational, but definitely possibly winning. I mean, I think a lot of situations I do want to be healing the tank, because, for example, as I mentioned over here, you're ultimately going to die here because your tank gets burned down, I think, right? Like, your tank gets, like, melted here, right? You get the Bastion, you got the Symmetra, he gets melted and dies. But if you were go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, when I popped it, when I saw that the Mercy was flying away, I was like, maybe I should have just gotten behind the tank, used it. Oh, that is the position you were talking about with burning them and healing him. Yeah, when I popped it, I realized my mistake right there.
Correct. So the call here would have been, basically right now, I already know that I'm close to Coalescence. I see how lined up they are, and I see that the Moira is also popping Coalescence. I would just come this way. I'm perfectly safe on the side of this wall. The only thing that can damage me is Coalescence. I throw some healing here. In, like, less than 2 seconds, I have Coalescence. I immediately pop Coalescence, and I step over here. And then this is going to mess up their team. Because the thing is, the Moira, even though we both pop Coalescence, I'm going to win this fight. The reason being is that I have, well, first of all, we have Wall, which is extremely helpful. But second is, the Moira can only damage, right? She can only damage the heroes out here. But I can both damage her team, but also heal all my teammates. So I can completely counteract her damage and damage her team. But she's only damaging my team and not healing her team. So you get a better Coalescence than the opposing Moira by being right here, because I'm hitting, 6 to 8 targets, and she's only hitting 3. Make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So that's our note about Coalescence. Yeah, the video will also be up later, right? So obviously you can rewatch it if you have a specific note or something that you want to make sure we covered. But I feel like that's pretty good as a summary.
I think so too.
Okay. Questions? Anything that you wanted to ask while you got me?
Let's say there's like a 5v5 situation, and in some of the fights, right, I'll see that I have a tank and he's full HP, and I want to, like, kill the support.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend, you said don't frontline, but I can take off angles sometimes to frontline.
Mm-hmm.
When they're all, like, grouped up together and I notice that we can't get picks, like, I know this is a really general question, but what do you recommend?
As always, I totally know exactly what you're talking about, so I'm going to draw it and kind of we can kind of talk through the situation. So again, we have tank here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 of our back line, and then on the opposing side you have another tank, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the question is, how do we break this?
Yes.
Right? And again, it is extremely situational, but I will give you some general overarching ideas to think about. Number one here is, will we win the poke, like, by default? So for example, if their tank is a Winston who's frontlining, and my tank is a Maga who's frontlining, we're going to win this, and I don't really need to do anything. Like, my tank is going to bully their tank, he's going to run away or die, and then we win the fight. And of course, this comes with experience, right? I can look at a fight and tell you who is likely to win the fight based on the current situation. So if you see and you're like, look, it feels like we're making progress, I don't need to take any risks. And that's a good thing to note is when you're winning, take fewer risks. When you're losing, take more risks.
What about lately where there's like a MAGA on like every enemy team and your team will pick like a Sigma per se?
Yep. So, go ahead.
Yeah.
So let's imagine. Okay, so first let's think about. There's like so much theory that goes into this, and like that's why I need to like explain piece by piece to like build up the fundamentals. Because I need to explain what's going to happen between the Sigma MAGA fight first, and then from there we need to extrapolate like what could you do, which is also based on the map and based on your other support and like the compositions, et cetera, et cetera. But
right,
I'll break it down kind of piece by piece. So first of all, imagining Sigma versus MAGA. So Sigma's actually a pretty good pick against MAGA. The thing is, MAGA does a lot more damage than Sigma does. MAGA does like over double the damage that Sigma does. So why is Sigma a good pick? Sigma plays much further away than MAGA can. MAGA technically has those guns, but they spread a lot over space, and so his effective damage at range is actually quite low. So Sigma, however, does full damage within his 22 meters, which is nuts. It's like the longest effective range of basically all the tanks. Sigma also has fantastic damage mitigation tools. His grasp makes him completely immune to MAGA and any other gunfire, right? It also can eat ultimates. What's that?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah.
Yeah. So his grasp makes him totally immune to damage, and it gives him health. And his shield has 700 health, and it regenerates like 225 health a second or something nuts. So between shield and grasp and the fact that he has range, Sigma can constantly stay at the edges of MAGA's like range, where MAGA can't do a lot of damage. So if MAGA versus Sigma is a matchup where neither one of them is able to get close to each other, right? If this is 22 meters of distance, and Sigma's here, the Sigma is going to win this fight. Virtually guaranteed. Like at all skill levels, the Sigma's going to win if they just stay at this range. So what does that mean? The MAGA at some point is going to charge into your team / the Sigma. And this is where things actually matter. So if I'm on the Sigma team, right, if I'm the Moira over here, I think, hey, their MAGA doesn't know what he's doing, he's staying really far away, we're good. I just keep my Sigma alive, I farm my ult charge, do regular things, deal flankers, whatever it ends up being, we win. But at some point, I guarantee you the MAGA is going to charge in. That's the reason why he has charge. He's a brawly tank. He wants to get in there. The question now is, how does my Sigma react to that? The worst possible reaction to Sigma is for the Sigma to completely ignore the MAGA and try to like kill his backline, or for him to blindly focus the MAGA and not use any of his defensive abilities. Then you're pretty much going to lose no matter what you do. But the goal there would be, hey, look, is the MAGA targeting the Sigma? In which case I have to target the Sigma. If he's targeting somebody else, like backline, I just keep other people alive. If he's targeting me, I can fade, I can just back up further so his spread increases, so it reduces the damage, I can throw Healing Orb, I got some options. But ideally what's going to happen here is your Sigma, if he knows how to play this matchup, he's going to back up with the MAGA, wait till the MAGA comes out of his charge, then he's going to use a combination of Shield, Grasp, and Rock, because he can't rock him during the charge because he's unstoppable. He's going to use a combination of Shield, Rock, and Grasp to then shut down the MAGA's Cardiac Overdrive, as much of it as he possibly can. And at that point, you now have a MAGA who is deep in your team with your Sigma, but the MAGA doesn't have Cardiac Overdrive, which makes him now vulnerable. That still doesn't mean he's the right target, but it does mean his team needs to hard focus healing their MAGA or he will blow up. That is the moment when you can come forwards and then attack his backline. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Right? Because if the MAGA's over here, I cannot go like right away because then they're just going to try and kill me. Even if they stop healing the MAGA, he has Cardiac Overdrive, he's not going to die. So you're looking for when after the MAGA comes in and then your Sigma stops him and everybody here is healthy, then you can be like, okay, now I can go on the other two supports because they're like, oh god, our MAGA's in huge danger, so they're all trying to heal the MAGA, right, out here. And then you have the opportunity where if you take down any of the legs, right, supports are like legs for a team. If you take out any of the legs of the team, then their whole team will collapse. This is just one very specific example of like how this matchup plays out. There's a lot of complexity and other things that be happening, like off-anglers and flankers, but that's the general idea of how the tank matchup is going to play out.
Okay.
Did you want me to talk more about breaking the 5v5?
Yes, I think since I have so many questions, can can we just finish the hour and we'll do two?
Uh, do you want to do another session, or do you want to keep going right now?
Yeah, like keep going until
until 3 or whatever, or 4.
until the end of the hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. That's fine. Okay. So let's go back to thinking about, the breaking the stalemate. Because it's a great question, right? And again, there's not a simple answer here, and anybody who tries to tell you a simple answer is lying to you or ignorant. there's not, like, there's so many possible variables here of what's going to happen. But again, as I mentioned, the starting point here is, do we win by default? Like, do we win if I take no risks? If so, I don't want to take risks. Like, that by definition, we're going to win by default, which mostly it has to do with the tanks and the supports. For example, if we're playing like Rein versus Rein here, right? We're stuck at a choke or something. We're playing Rein versus Rein, and my team has Moira, me, right, and an Ana, and their team has Lucio and Brig. We win by default because we heal like 4 times as much as they do. Like, there's no way that their Rein can stay and hold against our Rein when we have that much more healing than they do. Right? So that's a good example of like understanding, again, like what are all the pieces here that come together. But let's say their team has like Bastion Reaper and our team has Widow Tracer. Well, then it might be different, right? Even though we have so much more healing, they have so much more damage than us that maybe that's still not going to work. And again, a good example of when it's not going to work. But again, overarching point number 1, do we win by default? Yes, just play default and just play normally. Number 2, is it unclear that we will win by default, but I have off-anglers who are applying pressure? So a very common scenario here is that one of your team is like a Tracer, or they're a Genji, or they're like a Sombra or something, and then I can recognize that they have a target that is isolated to some extent from the opposing team. In that case, I can look for an opportunity to follow them and go out there. Now, the opportunity cost of off-angling is really important to note, because whenever I do one thing, it means I can't do another thing. So if I am off-angling, I'm not healing the tank or the rest of my team. So the question is, how much does my tank/team need healing? So if my other support is a main healer, like a Kiriko or an Ana, and they're with my tank, they're probably fine. But if my other support is a Mercy, or like, a Lucio or a Brig, I have a very small window to pull this off. It doesn't mean I can't do it, but it's a smaller window. I have to like do this quickly. Versus if there's an Ana Kiriko, I can camp the off angle. So let me give you an example in terms of the actual map. Okay, so imagine we're on offense here, right? So, our tank's over here, I'm over here, right? And then you have, let's say, a Genji over here. And then on the opposing team, you have their tank is over here, right? And they have, some other teammates over here, and they have, let's say, like an Ana in this doorway. It's hard to see with the color. So this is a very good example, and let's imagine your team has an Ana as well. This is a very good example where, like, hey, look, they have a lot of healing. The tanks are just kind of stuck there and nothing's really happening. But I recognize that the Genji is pushing this Ana over here, and Genji doesn't straight up win against the Ana. The Ana has sleep and grenade, and she has a mega health pack in that room. She may not die. But if I double team the Ana right now by fading into that doorway, there's no way she can beat both of us at once. And if you look at the positioning here, because there is a wall right here, right, there is a doorway, but there's a wall right here, the other support, let's say it's this one, may not be able to see the Ana or even react in time, even if they do have that awareness, right? You could fade in there with the Genji, you plus the Genji fading in, right? Genji dashes, you fade, kills the Ana so fast that all she can probably do is throw a grenade and then she's dead. Even if the other support can see her, they might not be able to save her in time. So that's a good example where if you assist your off-angler, you can get a pick which will destabilize their team, because from here, you guys can continue applying pressure this way, and that virtually guarantees that you're going to win the fight. Their tank has to back up, they're down a player, we control multiple angles, they're probably going to lose. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to cover another scenario, which is we don't have an off-angler, but they do. This is also a common situation that happens. So same sort of deal, right? I'm playing over here, same setup. Their tank is going to be over here, and they're going to have, a few people on the point. Now, what they're doing is that they have committed to having an off-angler over here who's trying to apply pressure to us. And let's imagine that the off-angler is someone that I could conceivably duel, right? Not someone who's definitely going to kill me. Let's imagine Hanzo. Hanzo's a good example. Right? So Hanzo has taken an off angle here, and he's applying pressure on our team. We need to kill this Hanzo. Right? If we stay here, the Hanzo's gonna keep raining arrows, and someone's gonna die sooner or later. Like, we can't let him go unopposed. But your team may not. Go ahead. Okay. So your team may not actually have the tools to deal with them. So imagine that you have, for example, like an Ashe or a Symmetra. Neither one of them are going to climb up there and deal with the Hanzo. Like, if you have Genji, they're going up there. But like Ashe, Symmetra are going to play here and play maybe longer angles and try to poke a little bit. Maybe the Symmetra goes up to try to deal with the tank. But neither one of them can deal with the Hanzo. But you do have a kit to kill him, because as a reminder, your leech plus your damage orb deal 100 damage a second. that gives someone only 2 seconds to do something before you kill them. And especially if you know that he doesn't have Storm Arrow, it means he must hit a headshot within like a second and a half, or he's going to die. Because even if he jumps away, it's actually a pretty good chance that you're still going to be able to follow and kill him, depending on if you predict the direction that he goes. So you might be sitting here being like, this Hanzo's a problem, but I can't deal with him quite yet, and you might stay here. And the Hanzo's like, oh, well, I have the opportunity to Storm Arrow the tank, so he's like, bow, 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 right? And he does 300 damage to your tank. You give your tank a little bit of healing, or not, depending on the support, and then you immediately fade in, and you commit on the Hanzo, right? This is a really good example of taking control of the game, right? Instead of just being a passive like heal bot where you just follow your tank around healing, which is still an important core skill to have, understanding, hey, this Hanzo's vulnerable, Hanzo has a terrible defense mechanism, like his leap doesn't go very far, I can just commit right now and kill him. Maybe he hits the headshot. It's true. Like, no decision you make is ever 100% successful. But like 80% plus, I'm probably going to kill him. And once you kill him, the whole enemy team is going to fall apart at that point in time. Because now you've cleared this area, and you guys can now walk in and take multiple angles, and they're down a player. And then you win the fight. So,
got it.
So we've covered 3 different options for breaking a stalemate, right? Option number 1 is, hey, look, we win by default. I don't need to do anything. Great. Easy for me. Option number 2, dive with my off-anglers, or help my off-anglers. That will win a fight. Option number 3 is dealing with their off-angler, right? Which, again, Moira is really good at this, right? Moira is really, really good at off-angling. In fact, I'm extremely confident, even as a non-Moira player, that at the highest level of play, the only way to get better at Moira is to actually do this really often. I have to not just off-angle, but to be actively picking fights like all the time. I have a couple links. I don't know if you've seen them from like Reddit posts, but I have links for Moira resources from Crow, who's like a really good like top level Overwatch content creator, where he analyzes the #1 ranked Moira in Asia and shows their gameplay style and how aggressive they are. And he also covers it for an OWL game. Because Moira, again, is so dangerous if you're not ready for her because of her self-heal, her unbelievably good escape, and her damage. Right? Like, Fade is, like, quite seriously one of the best, if not the best, defensive ability in the game. And so people aren't expecting, because they can't see you coming. They can only hear it when you pop out. So you can suddenly just show up in a backline from really far away, from like 40 meters away, throw a damage orb, and someone, like, you jump at Ana who doesn't have grenade or sleep, she's dead. Even if she hits every shot, she's still going to die before she can kill you. So it's like a really big deal. Anyway, so we talked about those 3 options. There's a 4th option here, which I think is also important and is especially relevant for the final points of most maps, which are usually like payload maps, which are usually the hardest ones to take.
You mean the ones that are like the long stretches versus like the first?
Correct.
Where you just have to get it. Okay.
Correct. So the way Overwatch maps are designed is they go from most offensive favored to least offensive favored. So usually offense will cap the first point, right? Probably 80, it happens occasionally they don't get it, but like 80% of your games probably first point gets capped, right? Second point, how often do people cap that? Still a good chunk of time, probably like 50, 60%. But
the third point is always the hardest, yeah.
Exactly. You both have less time to do it, but it's more and more defender favored. Because in this point, the spawn is right here. Like, they'll get out there in like 5-6 seconds, so you need to deal with defenders constantly trickling in. It's really, really far away, and the map terrain is just very advantageous for the defenders. So for taking the last points of many maps, it's almost impossible to do unless you either A, have ult advantage, or B, you can get picks. Like you stagger them, and then you can 5v4 your way into the point while the last one's respawning. Right? So That's the fourth way to break stalemates, is thinking about it from an ult advantage perspective, right? In terms of like building coalesce, understanding like, look, we're not going to win by default. I have no off anglers to help, or like I can't do it safely. There are no off anglers on their side for me to do anything about. I'm just going to build ulti and win this way. Just looking at this point in particular, for example, let's talk about this one, right? Let's imagine that you have so we have red team over here, and we'll draw the card as well. So, cart's over here, and then you have, red team, so they have like a tank over here, and they have, one person over here. Let's say, it could be like an Ashe and a Mercy, and then they have another person over here, and like, let's say a support over here. And we have trouble breaking this over and over and over again, because they're all really spread out and far apart, and whenever we try to do anything, they basically just kite backwards. We can't get any kills, and we just keep bashing our heads in against trying to do this like over and over and over and over again, right? Where we're just not able to do anything about this.
That's
so
actually a really common thing that happens here.
Exactly. It's super common. So the correct move here is to understand what is my win condition in this situation. And there are a lot of possible ways that this could go, but as one example, a very common way to think about this is, number one, I'm looking to build ultimate. Number two, I'm looking to force their ultimates and then accept that we will lose the fight. Like, I'm going to build ultimate, I'm intentionally not going to ult to let them, I mean, obviously, if I think I can win, I can pop it, right? But it's like, oh, look, they popped a bunch of ultimates, let them. Just let them pop them all, right? Pop 3, 4, 5, great, excellent. Then the next fight, we come, and then we pop and win. So in this situation, what you can imagine here is, especially, like, let's say these people over here are the biggest problem. You, as Moira, like, you've already built ultimate, then you try to push, then you all die, great, you just die quickly, you come back. Now this time you have coalescence, you fade over here, and you pop coalescence all the way down this line. That means that these two will either die or retreat into the open, and all of a sudden they're now killable.
Got it, okay.
Right? Now, it doesn't have to be this side. You could do the exact same thing on this side. You fade over here, you throw a damage orb or heal orb, whatever you want to do, then you pop coalescence, and then everyone here either dies or they retreat into the open, and then they die, right? Same deal is eventually, like, them getting flushed out allows you to die. This is why higher ranked players talk about space control all the time, because once you master your mechanics, it's all about space control. Nobody dies when they stand in safe spots. And everybody understands what safe spots look like as you start ranking up. Because if you don't know what they are, you don't rank up because you die. Like, I'm safe here versus I'm not safe here. So the goal is, how do I force you out of safety into spaces where you're vulnerable, and then you are killable? Because, again, when you guys keep trying to bash your heads through the front, like, nothing is happening because they all have cover, they can all kite you. When you do get them low, they sit behind cover, get healed, they back up, whatever it ends up being, you just never get enough. Even if you get a kill, they respawn, they'll be back in 15 seconds, and they're so close that it's so hard to, like, get enough snowball-y to actually push the card all the way and win it. But you build up an advantage, you get ultimate, you go in, right? It could be flanking here, right? It could just be pocketing your tank, right? It could be you right here just coalescing down a line like that and just like healing your tank for enough, damaging the tank plus a support. That might be enough to win the fight too. There's so many possible options, but understanding that ultimates are a big part of building stalemates is critical.
Okay. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I've been wondering how to win fights. Like, when we spawn in and it's a 5v5, I'm like, how does it... Because I have some matches where the team is clearly better than our team. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so the team is clearly better than our team, and they'll play more risky and end up coming out of the fight with like let's say 3 of us dead. And sometimes I don't know what to do in that instance. You know?
Is the fight lost already, or is the fight won? Or like, what's the exact situation? So you lost.
Like, we come in 5v5, and let's say we already, like, for example, one thing that happens a lot is we'll start a match and we're defense, and they camp outside the spawn room. Like the other day, I had a Bastion. What is that map? I don't know what map it is, but he camped outside the spawn and then popped his turret and was like stopping any of us from getting out of the spawn room. And so that gave them like a lot of confidence to just kind of stay there and camp and block us out for like maybe like 2 minutes at the start of the round. And like after that, I feel like the team morale goes down when you lose like 2 team fights in a row. So people start kind of making more mistakes, and I don't know how to stop it from like going downhill.
Yep. Okay, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So first of all, spawn camps are actually very difficult to pull off. There's a reason why they're rare, because the maps are designed in such a way that it's really hard to spawn camp. So if you have, for example, 3 possible openings to your spawn, right? Opening number 1, opening number 2, opening number 3, and then you have the enemy Bastion who's just camping here, blowing people up as they come out of this door. The key thing here is for your team to go out a different door, right? Or multiple different doors, and then apply pressure, and then play around Bastion's cooldowns, and then kill him, and then move on. Right? And he's going to be very vulnerable, not least of which because A, your spawn's right here, so if you make a mistake, you're back in 10 seconds, but B, spawns have some degree of immunity, right? Some of the spawns have doors that are like, they're immune, and they can shoot the Bastion from the immune space. So that's kind of the general note about spawn camping. But to talk about your note around, like, how do I take back a game where, you know, the enemy team is snowballing us? I actually kind of disagree with the idea that you're going to run to games where the enemy team is clearly better. I think that this is the way it's perceived. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen at all. I think it's actually quite rare. I would say probably less than 10, maybe even less than 5% of your games where like one team is clearly better. What usually happens is, as you mentioned, your team is going to make some mistakes, or the enemy team is going to make some especially good plays. That's going to snowball. Then they're going to stagger. Then, like, you know, your team, like, your tank, like, whiffs a grav or a shatter or something. Then your team's like, oh, our tank sucks, blah, 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 blah. And then the morale falls off a cliff, and then no one's trying anymore, and people switch to, like, stupid heroes, like Widow or whatever, because they don't think their team can do anything. And then the whole game falls apart. Yeah. I don't have an easy answer for this. I think the short answer, just like staggering, is don't be part of the problem, right? Don't give up. Just do the best you can with the information you have available. You know, some people be like, oh, try to rally the team or whatever. I'm like, I don't think that's a consistent advice or strategy. And like some people don't want to talk for a variety of reasons. So I would not personally recommend trying to do that. I'd just be like, look, just play the best you can with the information you got. You got a teammate went AFK and spawn. I can't do anything about that, man. Like, just play on. But most of the time, your team will at least try somewhat and just try to identify, why are we losing? And what can I do to stop that? For example, let's say they have a Genji who's like a Smurf, or maybe not even a Smurf. Maybe there's like, you know, you're silver 4, right? But like maybe the Genji is a gold 4 because there's a gold 4 on your team, but your gold 4 is just underperforming for whatever reason. Maybe you make it your goal to just constantly deal with the enemy Genji, right? Constantly be leeching him, follow him everywhere he goes, right? Throw orbs at him whenever he doesn't have deflect. Just be super annoying to him, and that might be enough to flip things around versus letting the Genji bully your backline all the time, you know? It's going to vary from game to game, but all you can do is, hey, with whatever information I got, just play the best I can.
Okay.
I would say the games are flippable a lot more often than you would imagine. I've been in so many games where we get steamrolled on like defense, and we lose with like, you know, 3.5 minutes left on the clock, and we go back and do the exact same thing with them, like 4 seconds faster. It happens. It truly does happen very easily. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them you're not going to win, and that's okay too. You just do the best you can. Other questions?
Since we have like 20 minutes, can we look at a different game?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do it. I have the code ready.
Go ahead.
It's DN4 KM7.
Okay. Suravasa. All right. So what do you want?
Maps, yeah, these maps where it's what is it called? I don't know what it's called. Flashpoint. They're super hard for me for some reason because of if you like lose the point and then you have to head to the other point, sometimes you'll get picked off, or your teammates will get picked off going to the next point. I don't know.
Yep.
That one we lost too, and this is one of the ones where I felt like their team was better than ours. So maybe you can like show me.
Okay. So for starters, Flashpoint is intentionally designed that way. So what Blizzard wanted to do is they wanted to move away from the like very clear north-south nature of gameplay, right? A lot of payload maps, it's very clear. Like, look, the payload's moving along a rail, fights are happening here, here, and here. but they felt like that gameplay gets stale, like it's repetitive, like it's always the same fights in the exact same areas. To be fair, it's a lot easier to learn the game, right? Fights always happen in the exact same areas, so you know where to stand. Flashpoint maps are designed to be much more dynamic. Like the fights could happen anywhere, at any time, from any angle, sometimes even reversed. So that makes it a lot harder to play, but also opens up more expression of skill. So for better or worse, that's like what you feel about Flashpoint is intentional design, and it makes it harder to play, and I would say also harder to coach, because like I can't say this map always plays out this way. I have to say, oh well, like I don't even know that I played enough Flashpoint. I definitely don't know that I played enough Flashpoint to be able to talk about all the scenarios. Like if you talk about any payload map, I could talk about it for like hours. I could explain every single nuance of the detail of like how this map is played, where you stand, the progression of space you take. But Flashpoint maps are like, I don't know, man, it gets pretty chaotic. Like I think you generally stay here. But okay, so let's kind of jump forward maybe a little bit, and we'll see. So one of the things you said is the other team feels better. I would note here is often when I think that one team is, when people say they think one team is better, when I look at the replay, especially for lower ranked games, they're basic mistakes that are costing you the fight, or at least opportunities for you to have turned things around. Right? So we're looking for, hey, are we just getting crushed overall at every position, or did we make a mistake, or somebody else made a mistake that we could have saved them from, and as a result, we end up losing. So for example, right now, we'll note that we got a pick from the very beginning. Okay? So the Tracer's dead right now. So we're actually 5-on-4, so we're favored to win at this moment in time. But as we play forwards, you're going to see that our Reaper is going to die right now. But could we have saved him? What do you think?
Yes, probably.
But how?
If I had been a little bit closer to him.
Correct. But why aren't we closer to him? You see how
I came out of spawn super late. I didn't know what I was doing.
You came out of spawn late, A, and B, we're not fading out to rejoin our team sooner.
I don't know why I refuse to do that. I just think like maybe I'm wasting my cooldown.
Right, but again, it comes back really quickly. But you see how big the gap is between you and the Reaper? You shouldn't be here. You should be here with your fade about to be ready again, following your front line in at this moment in time, and then you're going to be like, not that, quite that far, but like now you're right here, healing, 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 right? Reaper never dies in this situation if you're able to heal. To be fair, he actually gets hit by a headshot. But that's like kind of the general note, is like you're way too far back to be able to impact this fight. But even then, this is still a 4-on-4, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen from here. But leeching, I would heal the hog more at this point. Notice you're missing a bunch of heals again. Reaper gets res, right? 5-on-4. Oh my god, he gets headshot again. That's rough. There's nothing you can do about that. Hanzo headshots are tough. And arguably, it's a little broken. So, I think it's a 3-on-4 right now. Are you spy checking? It looks like you're looking for a Sombra, but you don't have...
I was worried that someone was gonna come up behind us.
Oh, okay. I mean, it might be a worry, but yeah, I think you gotta go back to your hog and focus right now. Again, you do no damage to tanks. Like, functionally no damage. The key thing is you gotta save your hog right now. But, like, this is pretty late at this moment in time to start the heal. And, yeah. Now you're... See... Everything gets pulled out of position. Because you're slow healing the hog can't hold this corner. If you're healing the hog can stay right here and like fight them off, but he's nervous because he gets so low, so he pops take a breather and he steps away from the corner. That gives the enemy the team corner, so now they all swing out. That means that you get low and the Mercy gets low. So that thing, not healing your tank, destabilizes your position, and now the Hanzos and Tracer are able to walk up because they see you're low and able to continue applying pressure. Now your Mercy dies, and now there's no way for you to win the point. So little things, like super, super little things, like just not being right there with the healing, not hitting your hog with the healing right now, these things right now add up and result in losing the fight. Like, yeah, the Hanzo hit 2 headshots, but like your team got a pick too, so it was not unwinnable.
I see.
Alright, so jumping forwards, looks like you walked over a trap. You're frontlining right now. Alright, I would not throw this damage orb. You see, so... We talked about this in terms of angles, right? In the video that you watched, we talked about angles. So you threw the orb up like this, which means it's going to bounce off into the sky like that. So we watch.
I did it to the wall, but then I should throw it higher?
Well, A, lower, but B, I think I just wouldn't throw it against the wall. I would just peek this way briefly and throw it down the line if I'm going to do that. But either way, I don't think I throw that damage orb at all because we're about to enter committed fight. This is not the poke phase. Like, your tank's walking up. If your tank is hooking people, you're not poking phase. Like, this is a commit. He pulls somebody in. Like, this is do or die. Like, we either get a kill here or we're gonna die. Right? This is like pretty serious right now. See, healing orb would be massive right now. Your Roadhog's missing like 400, 500 health right now. He's missing 570 health at this moment in time. A healing orb would have healed 300 if you'd thrown it with him against that wall. So, and see, you're missing your spray. Like 80% of your spray you're missing right now. If your Roadhog has more health right now, you could conceivably actually even fade out here and look for an opportunity to get them if the Roadhog separates from the Mercy. So like right now, for example, you could fade out here, drop and damage the Mercy and potentially kill her as an option. Oh man. Yeah, at this point you can't win the fight again because, you know, too many picks, etc. Alright, so we're coming out. They're coming out here. We're trying to rotate. Yeah, you have to watch out for the hog. So you can fade, get away safely if you want anytime. Good. Alright, hog's in. The second he gets pulled in, we're committed. Like, the second he gets pulled in, like, this is it. Because my hog is super far away from my team and in grave danger. But he's not going to die instantly here. Because A, he's already at full health. And B, I know that he has a full take-a-breather gauge because I haven't seen him use it. So he both has damage reduction here, he has self-heal, and he has a good amount of health already. This is a good example where I would pop Coalescence right now to make sure he doesn't die. You can pop Coalescence and just heal your tank, damage their tank, while swinging to the right, seeing what happens here, and then swinging and going after the Kiriko. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, this moment, like, these are the reactions. Like, I talk about this all the time for supports. Supports all have kits that allow you to cover up for teammates' mistakes. Your hog got hooked here. That is a mistake. But you're a support. You have a tool to help him here, which is right away pop Coalescence and make sure he doesn't die. Because if he dies here, again, the fight's over. So I'm going to pop Coalescence to give us a chance at winning this fight. But you see, you don't heal your tank for quite a while, but he blows through his whole gauge to heal. Right, looking. So I hear the Tracer fight in the Cassidy. I could conceivably fade in here, because I see my tank's not going to die, right? He's full health, he's behind cover. I could fade in around the corner and make sure that my Cassidy doesn't lose this fight. Oh my god, what the heck is this? Alright, that's pretty funny. But you see, if you faded in there, you probably killed the Tracer. She's super low, right? Even after the rewind, you could potentially kill her. After the rewind, she's still got half health. Like, coming in here and helping the Cassidy right away would have been a really good call. But popping Coalescence now is still...
in front of me, yeah.
Yeah, you could still pop Coalescence right now and make sure the Tracer dies. As long as you stay behind your hog, you're unhookable. Right? You could literally just be like, oh, okay, whatever, and then just make sure that... Because the hog's going to want to hook you as soon as you pop Coalescence. You could also fade to dodge it, but that's like a heck of a play. I would also note is that you have another option is you go out here, right, pop Coalescence, wait for hog to throw a hook, fade, jump out here, and flip the fight. Because now that you can fade with Coalescence, it opens up like the skill expression for Moira tremendously. If you dodge hook A and B, fly out here with Coalescence, I guarantee you win this fight. You just turn this way, you force Kiriko to Swift Step, you kill the Tracer, and then their hog can't do anything, you win the fight. Like, for sure, 100%. So there's so many possibilities for like ways to win fights, and like that's the difference between higher ranked players and lower ranked players. Like Moira is a really good example because on other heroes you could say a higher ranked player is more accurate than you are, and like that's kind of true for Moira because like healing spray and like maybe you lose some damage, but for the most part it's not that big a deal. It's that they can just read fights better and be like, hey, look, for example, if I hear the hog pop hook right now, I also have an opportunity. So take a breather. So the problem is this is a good example of the stalemate situation, right? Nothing is really happening here. Do I have an off-angler that can help? Well, maybe. My Bastion's walking back, but do I have an off-angler I can deal with? Well, you had that Tracer opportunity earlier, but she's now not vulnerable. But I also have ulti here, or I might just decide to play it safe and see how it develops, because usually if you wait, opportunities will show up. Yeah, you have to watch out for the Hanzo. As soon as you see the Hanzo over there, you gotta be careful. Got throw heal orb here, like right away. Like you need to have an instinct, like and you get injured and you're seriously injured, you must throw heal orb right away. So Hog gets hooked in. Hog gets hooked in again. You're too far away to leech. So I'm gonna show you the range of the leech because this happens on a regular basis. It's very hard to see the range. So I'll just like tell you, your range is gonna go roughly out to like here-ish. So you can see that there's like quite a bit more distance to the enemies. Like this is like not even particularly close. And you can test it in the training range, just like zap a bot and then walk backwards until you stop getting the hit marker.
Okay.
So, this coalescence is not so good. I feel like you're probably trying to force a fight, but there's a few problems. Number one is you're going to fall down. Well, actually, you're going to get headshot. That's kind of problem number one. So you're going to get headshot here because you're just going in a straight line, north-south, at the Hanzo. Look, you're going to pop coalescence here. You see? You're running straight at him in a straight line. Oh, well, no, not quite yet. Soon, yeah. You pop coalescence, going forwards, right? No left-right dodging, and then you die. To be fair, it's still a good shot by him, but like that's the stuff you need to avoid, A. But B, let's ignore the Hanzo shot. Number two is you're going to pop the coalescence, and then you're immediately going to fall down anyway, right? Even if he doesn't kill you, you're just going to fall into the pit, and then you have to climb the stair and get back up, which is not good value. Number three is we have not confirmed the hog doesn't have hook. So even if you don't get killed by the headshot, and let's say this is flat so you don't fall into the pit, you just get hooked by the hog here. So this is like too impatient, right? You're like going with the coalescence before an opportunity has presented itself. We talked about earlier there are opportunities because of various angles or because cooldowns are used or whatever it ends up being. You have no advantage right now. There's no reason to expect, other than Suzu's use, there's no reason to believe that coalescence is going to be effective at this moment in time. But trying to force this right now and dying is fight losing. I would also note, does this game feel unwinnable to you? Like you said before that you felt the team was much better, but does it feel that way to you watching in replay?
No. No, yeah. It's just a couple of key things that I didn't do that could have turned the fights in our favor.
Exactly, right? I'm not looking at this like you're not being spawn camped here, right? They're not like obliterating your team. Like it's basically a stalemate. The teams are even. Like your hog and their hog are just constantly shooting and hooking each other, and no one's getting anywhere. That's not like unfair. Like that just feels regular. Like everyone's kind of looking for an opportunity. That's like pretty much the definition of an even game. It's just like
I think why I said that is because you said that there was nothing happening.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I was thinking like, how do I like break this up? And that's why I popped the coalescence. And so when I popped the coalescence and he headshotted me, I just felt so defeated. I was like, what do I do here?
Yep, and I totally get that. And that's actually important as part of limit testing too, right? To get better at the game, you need to try stuff and make mistakes, right? Every mistake you make is not like, oh, I failed. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn. And that way, the next time you're in a situation, you don't do the exact same mistake again. You think, hey, look, there was a Hanzo, like I popped coalescence, I fell in a pit, I ran the straight line at the Hanzo, I didn't confirm that hook was off cooldown, and I'm in line of sight of the hog, right? These are all things that you can learn from just that one mistake. And next time, you can try something different. You might still make another mistake, but at least you don't try not to repeat the same mistakes. That's how you get better at the game. Right? This is why hours of experience are so helpful. Don't be defeated. Like I get it, like it sucks to lose, it sucks to die, and like no one enjoys that. But same thing. Like I play a lot of basketball, right? I'm not particularly good at it. I'm a very casual player. I never played like organized or anything like that. But when I play basketball and I go up and I get blocked, other people are like, oh, you got blocked, whatever. I'm like, no, I'm actually just fine with this because I roll it back in my head and I'm like, why did I get blocked? Oh, I got blocked because I didn't create enough space for my defender, or I challenged somebody who's a lot more athletic or taller than I am, or I used my inside hand instead of my outside hand to try to lay it up, or whatever it ends up being. I learn from it, and that's why I get better really, really quickly, is I'm constantly learning. The same approach for Overwatch. Right. Like, the path between you and a much better you, right, at Overwatch, is going to be filled with thousands of mistakes. And the sooner you make those mistakes and learn from them, the faster you will grow and get better. Hopefully that, clicks.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. We're coming down to 4-ish now. Do you want me to cover anything else, or anything in particular?
No, I think I'll think about this.
Okay. Do you have any questions in closing that you wanted to ask?
Do you think if I kind of clean up these mistakes that I'll I don't know, what do you think is the key to thinking? I think what I do is I get stuck trying to make better plays, but not really knowing how to make smarter plays, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I should just try to apply this, see if I get better, but I just get frustrated being stuck with I just get frustrated making the same mistakes over and over again, and I feel like I could fix that, but I guess I just need more practice.
Yeah, short answer, yes, you need more practice. I mean, again, you have 200 hours total. You have 20 hours in ranked, right? 20 hours is a drop in the bucket. Like, it is literally nothing in the grand scheme of things. Overwatch is a very complicated game. There are a lot of heroes. There's a lot of maps. There's a lot of interactions. Like, I played more hours on a single map, right, than you have played as your hero total. Like, way more. Like, the difference and gap of, like, experience is huge. And like, that shouldn't be intimidating. Like, that's part, like, you're not trying to go pro here, presumably. So it's just, this is about, like, if you enjoy playing, just play. And, like, you'll get better naturally. And based on my past experience, people that I coach get better really fast. Like, I just had somebody, like, I have people regularly who ping me, like, on Reddit messages or Discord or whatever, giving me updates. Like, they're like, oh, yeah, since you're coaching, I went so and so. So I coached somebody who was, like, gold, like, 6 months ago, and they gave me updates over time when they hit diamond and then they hit masters, and they just pinged me, like, last week and said they just hit GM, you know? And, like, when you look at their play when they were gold, they obviously did not look like they were going to be GM anytime soon. But, like, they kept grinding at it. And, like, yeah, I gave them some coaching advice, but, like, a lot of that was just them just having the right mentality of learning. And there's selection bias here, too. I'm not saying if I took a random Overwatch player, I could coach them and they'll become GM. The thing is that people who get coaching from me are typically ones who want to improve, and that's already most of the battle, right? The mentality of wanting to improve and understanding to be critical of your own mistakes, that's the biggest, like, issue with climbing. I would say pretty much everybody in the game can get to diamond at a minimum, with as long as they don't have some sort of physical disability that prevents them from playing the game. So, for example, if they're, like, you know, if they're deaf in both ears, or they, like, have, like, muscle spasms and they can't hold the mouse straight or controller or whatever, like, those things are, like, legitimate problems. But, like, the average human being who doesn't have any sort of, like, physical handicaps, I think they could get to diamond with enough play. I think going past diamond is very hard, like, really, really hard. Is it possible? Yeah, it is. But, like, that's where you're reaching a level where you need to, like, put, like, hundreds more hours. It is not impossible. I think you'll probably be gold in 10 competitive hours or less would be my guess. Something along the lines of that, right? I could see you being platinum in 25 or less. And then hitting diamond is probably in, like, the 50-ish hour. Like, if you just keep grinding at it, I have no reason to believe you won't keep climbing.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's just time, right? 20 more hours is twice as much as your total playtime in Moira and competitive. So,
yep.
It takes time. And even if you're that good right now, it'll take time for the system to realize you're that good. Like, you'll need to be winning the games over and over again for it to convince the matchmaker that, like, yes, I actually do deserve a higher rank, and they'll start moving you up.
Yeah, because I got dropped from Silver 2 to Silver 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just super frustrated because when I got into the Silver 4 matches, I did my 5 wins, like, immediately. So I was like, you know, I don't belong here, but it put me in Silver 3. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? The only advice I have for that is you just gotta play enough games well, right? If you keep winning games over and over again, I guarantee you the matchmaker will lift you out.
All right. Well, thanks for talking with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I will stop the recording.